Can cheating save a relationship? Sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Cheating usually means the end, a broken heart, lost trust, an emotional tsunami that's almost impossible to recover from. And yet, there are cases where cheating becomes the beginning. Painful, brutal, but still, the beginning of something. The start of a conversation that had been missing for years. A moment when the masks finally come off and the truth, long buried, is forced into the light. Does that make it okay? No. But it's worth asking, why does it happen in the first place? Surprisingly, cheating is rarely just physical. It's often a cry for help, a way to regain control, an act of rebellion against emotional emptiness. Infidelity is sometimes a reaction to a slow-burning disconnection, when intimacy turns into routine and two people under one roof become complete strangers. Psychologists call it signal cheating. Not a calculated escape, but an emotional explosion. A desperate act that says, "See me, notice that I'm disappearing." The method is destructive, yes, but it can jolt the relationship like a defibrillator. Some couples only start truly talking to each other after the betrayal. They ask the questions that were too painful to ask before, and one of the biggest ones is always, why did this happen? In most cases, cheating doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's the result of years of emotional neglect, lack of attention, fading desire. When one partner no longer feels seen, touched, desired, there may come a moment where the need for closeness outweighs the commitment to loyalty. Not because they stopped loving, but because they desperately want to feel alive again. Cheating then becomes less about rejecting the partner and more about reconnecting with lost parts of the self. It's not always about sex. It's about being noticed, desired, needed. And that brings us to the heart of the topic. Because yes, there are couples who became closer after infidelity, not because cheating helped them, but because it forced them to face the truth, to confront what they had both been avoiding for so long, to break the illusion of comfort and start building something real, this time with open eyes. Of course, not every relationship survives cheating. Not every betrayed partner is able or willing to forgive, and not every betrayal deserves a second chance. Some cases are about control, manipulation, and deep disrespect. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here. But one thing is always worth asking. Can you both look each other in the eye and be honest about what led you here? Sometimes infidelity opens doors that had been locked for years. It creates space for real conversations about sex, needs, emotions. Couples who had been emotionally asleep may suddenly wake up, because now they have nothing left to lose. And in that emptiness, there's room to rebuild. But let's be clear, this is not an invitation to cheat. It's not a relationship fix. Cheating is a symptom, not a solution. It's a red flag that should have been noticed much earlier. That's why the most important thing you can do before infidelity happens is to talk, speak, share. Have the courage to say, something's wrong, we need help. Cheating should never be the start of a conversation. But if it already happened, then the real question becomes, what in your relationship was broken long before that night? Did you stop showing up emotionally for each other? Did you stop touching, not just physically, but with presence and curiosity? Did you start protecting your own feelings at the cost of connection? Because cheating doesn't always mean love is gone. Sometimes it's the last attempt to revive a love that's been dying silently. It's not about justification. It's about understanding the emotional terrain that gave birth to betrayal. So if you're in a relationship that feels cold, disconnected, or numb, pause. Before you do something you can't take back. Before you reach for someone else's warmth, try to reignite the fire that once burned between you. Because the greatest tragedy in relationships isn't always the cheating itself. It's the fact that it took betrayal for you to finally talk. And maybe that's the biggest lesson. Don't wait for a betrayal to have the conversation you should have had long ago. Start now. With honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to rebuild before it's too late.